Grand Rising family, and welcome to my channel, Abundance 333 LLC. Um, haven't been on my channel for a while because I don't know, before I jump on and make a video, I want to make sure that I'm secure, and God is usually letting me know I have an energy that comes over me that says, yes, this is the time, right? So earlier in the week, I had made a video, and it lasted a whole friggin' hour, and I wasn't sure of it, but I'm like, I got it, whatever. I'll just cut out whatever I need to cut. You edit the video and stuff like that. I did all of that work just for it to delete after I was just about to post it and just delete it. So I took that as a sign, as God saying, do it over. So the topic on my video today is going to be about getting back into your childlike state to obtain genuine happiness, freedom, and abundance. Right now, let's talk about where I am right now. I'm in a different place right now. Like, I'm evolving, so I'm at the next level now because I've passed my last level. I'm just getting better and better and better. And I just feel really good. And every time I elevate, that's a proper term. Every time I elevate, I want to speak on it because I know there's a lot of people that's on the same journey, trying to find their path, trying to find a resolution for just living life in general. Because if you really think about it, we're all just trying to get through life, and we're all just dealing with the same issues in like different bodies. There's a song. A song just came to my mind that I need y'all to listen to. It's called. I'm gonna put it in the description because every time I have a song, it just never comes to mind. But I forgot the name of the song. I love that song so much and I listen to it so much, but I'm gonna put it in the descriptions. Yeah, we're all going through the same thing, and that allows me as a person in general, because I let my spirituality guide me. Spirituality is my logic. Every move that I make, every way that I think, everything that I perceive, how I view others, I try to move in my spiritual energy and not in my flesh, because my flesh is separate from my spirit. My spirit is what I want to move in, the energy I want to move in, because that's who I am. I'm not this flesh, but genuinely in this world that we live in, excuse me, and what we learn in our environment, naturally we're gonna respond to that. A lot of us don't have enough control to, to not respond to that. That's, as human beings, while we're here on this earth, that's what we're gonna experience regardless. We're gonna have to, deal with that. But with spirituality comes solutions and ways to deal with each situation, each state, each emotion, each level of understanding and growth, right? So with that being said, my mother told me this a lot, and I had to learn through my experience that I had to get back to that childlike state. And when I had a child, it made me acknowledge that even more so. So with my child evolving and growing and learning, so am I. And I'm the type of person that allows everything around me to be my teacher, right? So my child has taught me a lot in ways, even before he was able, not in ways where he's able to talk to me and speak to me like a teacher would, or like my mom would, or like life in general would. But I've learned the most valuable lessons I needed to learn from my son, and I'm still going to learn so much more from my son as I get older and as I evolve. So, for example, my son, he has his moments where he likes to throw his little temper tantrums and stuff like that. And I acknowledge, my friend was over here the other day, and she pointed out that he got over it so quick. Like, it was crazy how quick he transitioned from being extremely upset to just like going off and doing something else and playing with something else, because he was mad that my friend changed the channel. She wanted to watch something else. He was watching what he wanted all day. So as an adult, as his mom, I have to teach him, like, that's not the way to behave. There's a way to go about your emotions. Like, he's upset, and as a child he doesn't know how to manage his emotions, and my mother calls it spirits. My mother be like, it's a spirit on him, that's a spirit, that's a spirit. And it's easy, it's so much easier for a child to inherit those spirits because they're so pure. They don't know how to manage any of those spirits. But as we get older, right, we learn certain things, we adapt to certain things, and depending on our religion and what we do to cope with our emotions, that's what we use to balance ourselves out. Because you have your flesh and you have your spirit, you have your soul. For the ones that believe, for the ones that know, if you're on this channel, you know what I'm saying. So with her acknowledging his actions, me from a spiritual standpoint, and allowing everything around me to teach me, I looked at it as that's how we all should be. All of us should allow ourselves in a healthy way to express our emotions, and any kind of emotions, through anger, sadness, frustration, happiness, fear, confusion, envy, and all of that is in the Bible. Those are all in the Bible. What's another? The other one is what's the other one? Dang, I forgot the other one. Vanity. Those are all sins except for happiness, but I'm just saying those are one of the emotions. But as we get older and we acknowledge that certain ways that we respond to certain things when it comes to our emotions, especially, for example, anger, frustration, or confusion, or envy, we may not acknowledge as toxic, because to us, we see ourselves as expressing our emotions and letting our emotions out. But when we see that it affects others in a negative way, if it affects you negatively, and if it affects others in a negative way, we need to have an outlet to express. Just as a parent, we let our children, when they express whatever they're expressing, whether it be anger or envy, they don't know that they're experiencing these, so we teach them these and we give them healthier ways to deal with it. As they get older, if they choose to inherit those behaviors, those teachings that we teach them as they get older, they'll use them. You know what I'm saying? If they don't, and they adapt to what's around them and who they're around, then that's how it's going to be. And then they're just going to have to relearn everything they have to relearn. Me, I was raised on my mom. I was raised by my mom. I was raised by my mom through a church setting. Okay, religion. So I was always in that spiritual teaching. But as I got older and I learned new things and I hung around certain people and I picked up certain traits and I did certain things, I sat there and I started to absorb that, and I felt like my religion was imprisoning me. So with that being said, I felt like I wasn't able to live the life I wanted to live, or I was doing one of those things that these Christians do now. They in the church on Sunday. They in the club on Saturday, be in the church on Sunday. Like, you're trying to, you can't consider yourself a Christian if you still living a worldly lifestyle. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you can't sit here and say, for example, you can't sit here and say you're a Christian, but you're sitting here judging people. In the Bible, it says, don't judge unless ye be judged, right? So it's like, and we all do that. So as you get older, as I got older, I had to realize that a lot of the things that I wanted to do wasn't conducive to my mental, physical, and spiritual health. So I had to let a lot of things go. And with that being said, I had to realize that when I seen the toxicity that it was bringing in my life, that I no longer wanted to, that didn't resonate with me. It didn't resonate with me, and I no longer wanted to deal with it. So I had to take the steps that I had to take to rid myself of those things. And where did I start? I completely let everything go. I didn't care if it was friends. I didn't care if it was habits. I didn't care if it was environments. I had to let a lot of things go because I knew that it didn't resonate with me. And then when I realized it wasn't resonating with me and who I wanted to be and where I wanted to go in life, I realized that was just the world. Spiritually, it didn't resonate with me either. So I had to relearn everything. So I called myself letting God go. I called myself letting God go and learning about spirituality. But in all actuality, spirituality is God. You know what I'm saying? It is Christianity. It is Buddhism. It is Allah, Muslim. It's all that. But This is all the same God. They just try to separate everything just to cause conflict. It's all the same thing. At the same time, people tend to use their religion or what they believe in as a way to live a certain lifestyle that doesn't resonate with God, period. Okay, they use religion as a way to to validate a lot of crap that they do. Like, they mix it up and make it make sense for them in their world. You know what I'm saying? And I did the same thing. I'm like, I'm a Christian, but I still like to watch porn. I'm a Christian, but I still want to do drugs. I'm a Christian, but I still want to drink alcohol all day. I'm a Christian, but I want to still go out and party. I'm a Christian, but I want to still have sex. Like, you cannot do that. In my mind, I'm like, at least I'm still a righteous person. I'm still a good person. And I didn't even know I was living in my purpose until I realized that was just who I was as I'm naturally a healer. Naturally, I'm a healer. People used to come to me for advice. And I would be able to, I was a good listener. Naturally, I was a good listener. Naturally, I was a person that gave good advice, but I didn't know that that was my purpose. I didn't know that that was me healing. I didn't know that until I got into a state where I needed to relearn everything all over again. And I realized that the people that I was around, it didn't matter what I did or what I gave, that it was draining me and my resources, which was my spiritual energy. My resource was my spiritual energy. You understand what I'm saying? I was starting to lose who I was in myself because I was around things, like I said, that wasn't conducive to me or my spirituality. So, with that being said, I had to relearn all over again. And as I relearned all over again, I ended up having my son. I had to go through that stage. I ended up having my son. I ended up obtaining things. I ended up gaining things. As I lost things, I gained things. And God gave me some things, and as he gave them to me, he wanted to see if I was able to handle it, just like a parent would with their child. If a child gets to a certain age, you start to hand them more things. You start to give them more things. When they start doing things, you start to teach them things. Like, that's not how you respond. That's not how you behave. You give them a little more information to see what they can do with it, to see how they handle it. And if my son, for example, if my son is not able to share his tablet, if he's not able to share his toy, I take it away. God gave me some things, and when he see that I couldn't handle it, he took it away. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's why they say we're God's children. We're all children of God. You understand what I'm saying? We all behave in that childlike state of mind naturally. You understand what I'm saying? But with God, in his wisdom, in his light, in his love, in his forgiveness, he gives us all these resources everywhere we go, through everything we encounter. We just choose to disregard, which is our intuition, which is our consciousness, which are signs. Like, we just really don't pay attention because there's so much in this world distracting us, which is the flesh. See? Like, I got to a point now, I've elevated to a point now where I'm like, I'm learning all of this wisdom, but I don't know why the freak I'm still going through these same old ropes. Like, I went through this already, I done this. I assumed that once I gained this wisdom, that I would not experience what I was feeling. But, I was still experiencing it, just at a minute, like, it was diluted. It wasn't as intense as it was as if I was experiencing emotion like an old trauma or something all over again. Like, I would be doing something or listening to a song, or, I would smell a smell, or I would see someone that looked familiar, and things came up that resonated with me, that affected me in the past, and it was as if I was going through the same ropes all over again. And that was when I was in the dark space. But once I got to a better space and I had gained wisdom, and I knew how to identify it as such, because once you gain this wisdom, you know how to identify it, you know where to place it. You have certain things that you're taught, God teaches you, and the resources that God gives you, that allows you to apply it when you experience these emotions, right? And God said that that's what he said. This is what he said. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, right? But he never said the weapon wouldn't form. right? So these weapons are always going to be there. They're going to form. There's going to be tests. There's going to be, he's going to give you more to see if you can handle it. You're saying life is a test. Everything about life is a test. It's a lesson. Because you're always evolving. You're always growing. But that's something that you have to want, right? That's something that you have to want. And depending on what you consider growth, because you may feel like, for example, you may feel like how you handle a certain situation, maybe at work or maybe with your family, is best because it's protecting you and something you don't want to feel like resonated in the past with you, or something that you don't want to deal with that person. You feel like just to cut them off is best to do it. You feel like just to curse them out is best to do it. You feel like just to chin check things, to punch them in the face is the best way to handle it. Or you feel like just to ignore them is the best way to handle it. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is. For example, to ignore somebody, okay, because they say silence is the answer for you right there, right? Or they say just to cut somebody off. They say it's best just to release things, to let go, especially if it's not helping you, if it's draining you or whatever. But me personally, right, I'll ignore somebody in a heartbeat. I'll cut somebody off in a heartbeat. You want to know why? Because I did everything. I did everything. When I believe I've done everything, and I've tried my best to listen, to give advice, to like I said, I live in my purpose. I live in my purpose. I've always lived in my purpose. I just didn't have a balance. I didn't have a balance. I gave too much of myself. Even when I had nothing. I was always trying to give something. I overcompensated. I overindulged. You understand what I'm saying? There's a balance in everything. Once I got to that point where I'm ready to cut somebody off or ignore somebody, there's a reason. I'm at a point where I'm like, I did everything I need to do. And majority of the time, if I've stayed longer than I should in the past, I didn't know how to let things go. My problem was, I don't know about anybody else, my issue was I didn't know how to let people go. There's people that just let people go in a heartbeat, no wasting time, nothing. But that depends on what point, what level that you at, what you dealing with, what you can tolerate, right? Me, I didn't know how to let anybody go. I didn't know how to let things go. I held on because it was so much history, so much time, so much love that I had for certain people. So I didn't know how to let things go. I didn't know how to let memories go, certain traumas go. I didn't know how to let certain things go. So ultimately, it took away all the beauty of it. All the beauty, all the good things about it. You understand what I'm saying? Because I was holding on to the negative things. But bring it back to my child teaching me to the beginning. Like, he's able. Children are able to move on like that. As soon as they have that temper tantrum, they done moved on to the next toy, the next game, the next show. It's already done. It's done. That shit's gone. The only thing that's toxic about it is them throwing a temper tantrum. Because my son done threw a chair, through tables and all of that. You feel me? We don't want to do that. We want to be healthy. We want to challenge our emotions in a healthy way, right? When God say go back to that childlike state of form, he don't mean be petty. He don't mean throw a temper tantrum. He means let it out and let it go, right? So that's what my son has taught me. And what I've also realized, going back to that childlike state, is that they don't really worry about anything. Children don't worry about anything. They just live their life. They going from one thing to the next. They're enjoying every moment. Like when they were small, when they were infants. They're not thinking about the time. They're not thinking about how long it's going to take them to crawl. They're not thinking about how long it's going to take them to walk. They're not thinking about how long it's going to take them to eat solid food. They just going through the stages. You understand what I'm saying? They're just going through the stages, enjoying every moment, enjoying that first crawl, enjoying walking, enjoying eating, enjoying playing with their toys. Like when I give my son something, he is so freaking, it could be the littlest thing. He is so happy. I'm looking at him like, bro, it's not that serious. It's just a toy, or it's just a marker, or it's just like my son can play with a piece of hair. Because my hair be all over the house. I be doing my own hair. My son can play with my braided hair and just have the time of his life just swinging around. And I'm just like, bro, I'll be on my phone, I'll be doing my work, or I'll be just like doing whatever I'm doing, cleaning or cooking or something, and I would hear my son, and he'd be dying laughing. I'll go in there, and he's playing with my braiding hair. So you get it? It's like they see the beauty in like the littlest things, and you don't want to lose that, right? You want to be. Everything is just so beautiful to these little creatures, right? Everything is so pure. Everything is like they're experiencing it for the first time. Like when my son get ice cream, he be so happy. Remember when you was happy? The other day, for example, for me, the other day, I made a sandwich, and I haven't made a sandwich. I hadn't had me a good sandwich in a long time, right? So I added some turkey ham, some tomato.
To go into and that was.
Where's your tablet? Go get your tablet. Go get your tablet. It's on mommy's bed. It's on mommy's bed.
Hey.
It's on mommy's bed.
Hey.
I added some tans. I'm like, I'm gonna add some lettuce down. I stopped myself. I said, because I'm on my, I'm, making sure, it starts from the inside. You heal your spirit, your spiritual, your soul. Then you heal your body. You take care of your body, right? So you don't take care of my body, whatever, right? So, so I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna add me some kale. So I added some kale instead. I'm like, it was so good. Same with some mayonnaise, some mustard. So you just look at that sandwich, right? So I'm like, yo, it made me think of my dad.
I found the tablet.
Thank you. It made me think of my dad. And I'm like, yo, there was one time he came to see me and my little sister. Look how happy he is to get his tablet. Look how happy he is to get his tablet.
Is that Jumbo John?
And we take everything, so like, we probably be on our phone every day. Be like, phone, until that break. And you like, damn, now you realize how dire or how significant it was when you lose something, right? But I was making that sandwich, right? And I was eating that sandwich, and it tastes good. And while I'm just like really showing my gratitude and appreciation for the sandwich and enjoying eating that sandwich, a memory of my dad came to me. So it's things like that. Like, it's a movie called Soul. And every time, that is the perfect example of enjoying the little things. It was a little spirit. It was a little spirit that was being, okay, so you got to see it, but Jamie Foxx plays the guy, the main character, and he loves playing music. And the other day I seen that movie, and I forgot that Jamie Foxx really know how to play the piano. So he's really probably playing that piano. All the piano playing that's in that movie, he probably really did all of that. I don't know, it could have been a mixture of somebody else and him, but I forgot he knew how to play piano. But I seen it. That's my favorite movie. That's my favorite cartoon movie right now. So he died. He was so excited. He was so focused on, he loved his music. But he was so focused on his music, and he was so focused on getting like this role that he got with some women to perform at a lounge, right? He was so focused on that he forgot about all the significant things, all the little things, the beautiful moments that he had in his life, until he ended up in the between, which was life, death, and life, which is basically like the little souls getting to the point where they begin life before they become humans, before they obtain a human body in human form. They're being created. You see what I'm saying? So he was in between, and he was supposed to die, but he ended up breaking through that, going through like multiple realms and getting back to the before, not the after, but the before you become. So the little soul that he ended up having to basically give a purpose to, like to find its spark, ended up obtaining his soul in his body in the movie. And he never really wanted to go to life. He didn't want to become a human. He didn't like it. He just didn't like it. And every spirit that lived Earth before they died tried to teach him so he can get that spark, so he can go back to Earth. Basically have a purpose, what was considered a purpose. That's what Jamie Foxx thought it was his purpose, to get to Earth. Ended up never giving it, like they weren't able to allow him to, it was just born for him. He wasn't even trying to get to Earth. He didn't want to get to Earth. He felt like that wasn't something that he wanted. He was fine just being a spirit, right? Then he ended up jumping into you gotta watch the whole movie because there's so much to explain, but I'm skipping some parts. He ended up jumping into Jamie Foxx's body. Jamie Foxx ended up jumping into a cat, and the whole time Jamie Foxx is a cat and the soul isn't Jamie Foxx. The soul is experiencing Jamie Foxx's life through the people that he meeting up with the people in the barbershop, meeting random people on the street, having a conversation in a moment with his mom, and until he gets to the point where he needs to perform, because all Jamie Foxx is worrying about is performing. That's all he's worrying about. So the soul is in the body, and while the soul is in the body, he's having all these experiences on earth that he's starting to like it and he's starting to love it, and he don't even realize it. He's just like, he had food for the first time and he loved it. That moment he had when he ate that pizza was everything. Like, it made him feel so good. Then there was another moment he had where he was on a train. I love this. This was so cute. He was on a train and he was like, just like getting into the zone.
Mommy,
like the
I gotta pee.
Go ahead, go pee. And make sure you wash your hands and flush. He was like enjoying the moment of the train rocking back and forth that he ended up bumping into somebody. When he bumped into the person, the guy screamed at him and he jolted. He got scared. But he said he liked it. He liked it. He liked the fact that the guy screamed. He said, I was scared, but I liked it. I liked experiencing that. Stuff like that. And then there was another moment where he was in a barbershop. He was getting his hair cut. And he had a conversation with the barber. And the barber was like, everything that he was saying and it had everybody like paying attention to him, like, yo, he's saying some stuff, like he had some stuff. So the barber, the guy, the soul that was in Jamie Foxx's body, the barber was like, I like who you are. I like this, this guy, whoever this guy is, this crazy cat person, because he had the cat. He was like, whoever this guy is, I like this guy. This guy's cool. He was like, what happened? How come you never had a conversation about life before? And the barber was like, because you never asked. You was always talking about music and stuff. Like, I never had the time to tell you about my life. I never had a moment to tell you about my life, right? So he had a moment with the barber, and then he had to go fix his suit because he ended up ripping his suit because he was enjoying the air and the wind blowing, and like he was enjoying every little moment. So when he ended up ripping his suit, right, he had to go interact with. He had a moment with his mom. His mom never liked the fact that he was always looking for gigs and performing in the music. His mom wanted him to find a solid job where he was making money, where he had a pension, and he had a plan. You understand what I'm saying? But Jamie Foxx wanted to play music. That was his life. That was his dream. Like, he didn't care about anything else. So, which is okay, but he was so focused on that he forgot, like I said, the little things. So when he finally was able to express how he felt to his mom, because he never did, he just believed that his mom was always going to feel the way she felt. When his mom finally was able to hear how he truly felt, they had a moment, and she apologized, and he was shocked. He was like, oh, I didn't expect this response from you, because I'm always used to you like always coming at me and in my ear about getting the freaking job, and like you never understood how I felt. And when the mother finally listened and heard it out, she was quiet, she apologized, and she pulled out a suit for him. That was his father's suit, because his father loved playing music, and that's how Jamie Foxx loved music and was so into music, because his dad, that moment that he had with his dad as a kid. And then when they finally got to the part where they was at the lounge, and it was an hour or so before he had to perform, the soul that was in the body of Jamie Foxx, she sat there for a moment, and a leaf fell from a tree, and she watched it fall as it hit the ground, and the way the leaves blew in the air. Like, she had a moment. She enjoyed those little moments. And Jamie Foxx was like, Jamie Foxx was like, I'm ready to perform. Yo, we're there. You look good. You got the suit on. I'm ready. Da da da. Like I said, he was all focused on that. And the whole time, Jamie Foxx wasn't listening and paying attention to the fact that she was actually starting to enjoy living on Earth. Because before she got into Jamie Foxx's body, she didn't even want to be there. So he was so stuck on what he wanted and performing that she was like, I'm starting to love it. I really want to see what this is about. He was like, no, the only reason why you love music and you love everything that you love now is because you're in my body. And it hurt her. She was like, she felt like she kind of like, she was like, maybe he's right. She started to listen to him and she was like, no, I'm not ready to go. I'm not ready to go. So when she ran, I'm not gonna get on it because there's so much detail. But the whole point is, because you got to see the movie. The whole point is that once he was able to perform, once he was able to get into his body, because he ended up getting, oh God, it's so much. All right. There was a spirit, right, in the before that keeps track of all the souls that goes to the afterlife, right? So the whole time throughout the movie, as all of this is happening, he's trying to find the soul that left, that ends up missing. So he finally gets them when the soul that was in Jamie Foxx's body ran off. He finally got them, and the cat went to go chase his body, which was Jamie Foxx, that was in the cat, who ended up trying to chase his body. They ended up getting caught by the soul that kept track of the fact that he was going with the body that was lost, which was Jamie Foxx, as he was supposed to be in the afterlife. Finally caught up to him. Jamie Foxx was mad. Once they got to the after, and then the soul was now back in the after, the two souls, the soul that didn't live yet, but it was experiencing life in Jamie Foxx's body, and Jamie Foxx's body that was trying to get his life back. Once they got back into the after, they realized it was a little badge that he had. And the only thing that was missing was his spark, right? Which was the thing that makes you want to go back, whether it makes you, prepares you for like, that means you're ready to go to like, you're ready to be born. Whether it be music or playing golf or playing basketball or cooking or cleaning or teaching or whatever, that was going to be that person's spark, which is Jamie Foxx's thing. His music was his spark, right? So he was like, once he realized that they got the badge, once they ended up in the after, the little spirit, he had the badge. It was, he found his spark. But there was another soul that was there that helps, that gives the soul all its resources and its personality. Basically, it gives the soul all its personality, the soul in the after, all its personality before it's born. Now, all it's missing is a spark. The only thing that the soul was missing was its spark, and he never was able to obtain his spark because he was not interested in any of it until he ended up on Earth, lived Earth for the first time, and finally got his spark. Once he realized that he had his spark, the one of the souls that was there that helps you create your personality before you become a human, before you obtain a human vessel, was like, oh my God, you got your badge finally. You got your spark. What made you get your spark? And then Jamie Foxx completely cut them off and was like, it's me. She lived in my body. She didn't love anything until she was in my body. It was me. So that deterred her. That brought her down. So there's a part in the movie where it shows where souls are when they're in a dark place, or where they're just zoned out. So in the above, between the life and basically you're alive, but you ever get that feeling you have when you're in the zone, whether you're listening to music or you're playing a game, or you're dancing, or you're drawing, whatever you're doing, you're in your zone. You feeling it, like you zone out. Nothing can tell you nothing. Nobody can tell you nothing. You're just in your zone. You can't hear nothing. You can't see nothing. You're just feeling yourself, right? It's a place in the app between the life and the spiritual, where you're in your zone when you're doing something that you really love, right? So you're floating, but there's a balance. Because if you're too in your zone, then you ultimately detach from the world. You detach from what's important, whether it be like your life, your job, your family, yourself, taking care of yourself. You become zoned out, where you just gone, right? And then it's the same place where you become depressed, where you're in a dark place and you just lose hope and you just like don't know what to do, like you're just gone. So that's at the bottom. In that place, you're either too zoned, you're too into what you're doing that you completely forget about the world around you, or you're just really depressed because you're just in a dark place and everything just became too much after a while. Or you're above, where you're between, it's all in the same place, where you're between the spiritual realm and life, where you're zoned out and you're just like enjoying yourself and you're feeling yourself, like, you know what I'm saying? So the little soul, right, that finally experienced life and found its spark, when Jamie Foxx kept pressuring the fact that it was his body that made her enjoy his life, that made her enjoy life and get her spark, she lost herself. She started to become depressed. She started telling herself that she had no purpose, which put her in that dark place where she started to become depressed. So in that dark place where you start to become depressed, you start to become this big, black, like dark, just like, you just look weird. You just become this weird, dark, like entity that's just dragging itself into nothingness, just out of place, just like you're just gone, right? So Jamie Foxx, when Jamie Foxx finally got back to Earth and he was able to perform, he got back into his body and he was able to perform. He finally performed. He did what he wanted to do his whole life. After, he was like, so what's next? What's next? And she asked the lady, and the lady was like, the lady that she finally got to, because he was a fan of her. He asked her, he was like, so what's next? She said, nothing. We come back and we perform again tomorrow. And he was like, that's it? She was like, she had said something. It was a quote she had said in a movie. She was like, it was a fish, right? It was a fish in the ocean, right? And she was like, it was a fish. She was like, I want to go to the ocean. And another fish was like, but you're in the ocean. This is the ocean. She said, yeah, but I want to go to the ocean. You understand what I'm saying? And what I got from that was, you keep telling yourself that you want to be somewhere and you want to get to this place. And when you finally get to that place, you still sitting there saying you want to get there. Like every time you level up, you're going to want to keep going. You're always going to want to level up. When you get to that point where so let's say it was a career that you always wanted. You worked so hard to get it your whole life. You worked so hard to get to that point. Now you finally got to that level of success. You're like, now what? Now I want something else. Now I want this. You're not giving yourself the time to enjoy the progress that you've made. You're always going to want to evolve. Every time you get to one level, you're going to keep leveling up. You're never going to be in the same level. But if you don't acknowledge the fact and enjoy the fact that you got to that success and you got there, you're always going to be in a point in your life where you're like, okay, so what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? It's always going to be something that you want. You're always going to want to reach or grab or want more, right? So that's what I got from that. Like, you're like, I want to be in the ocean, but the ocean is not what you consider to be success. That's not what it is. Yes, you can reach that level of success, but in a world, there's always different levels that you're going to go to. There's always something that you're going to want. You have to realize that it's more to life than that. Like I explained before this, those little moments that you have, those memories, that feeling that you had when you tried something for the first time. That feeling that you had when you felt love for the first time. That feeling that you had when your mom hugged you. That feeling that you had when you got that attention that you wanted from somebody that you've been looking for so long. That you've been seeking for so long. That feeling that you have when you start to love yourself. That feeling that you have when you reach peace. That level of peace. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to realize that it's so much more to life than reaching success. It's the level of success when it comes to reaching a career, when it comes to reaching a certain goal. Like, it's so much more. So we get so caught up in life and its experience and everything that comes with it that we forgot to just enjoy the moments to that. Like, yes, I want to become a lawyer. Yes, I want to, there's certain levels I want to go to, but if I'm not enjoying the moment to when I get there, once I get there, I'm always going to look for something else. It's like, now I'm a lawyer. What I'm going to do now? What's next? Like I was so focused on getting to that level that I didn't even enjoy my life in the process of getting to that level. Like, what the freak? Like, come on. So once he realized that, he went home and he was like, damn, that's it? That's it? Like, his whole, like, aura changed. He went home and he took everything out of his pocket. And everything that was his pocket what the little soul had put in his pocket when she inhabited his vessel, right? So he started pulling everything out of his pocket. He started playing the piano. And as he started playing the piano, as he's looking at all the little items, he started to feel it. He was starting to understand how she felt. He was like, okay, I get it. He looked at the little paper that she ripped off. He looked at the little leaf that she found. And as he's playing the music, he's looking at, he's playing like a tune to everything that she found. And it created like this melody of like this feeling that he felt. As he was playing the tunes, then the little bagel that she ate, playing the tune, the pizza crust that she ate, that feeling she got when she had that pizza, it played a melody for him. Everything played a melody. And then once he understood how she felt, then he played his own melody. And as he's playing his own melody, he had memories. He had a moment that he had with his dad, a moment that he had with his mom as a child when she was bathing him. A moment that he had when he was riding his bike through the park and he lifted his head up and he looked up at the trees and he felt the breeze. The moment he had when he was on a roof and he seen fireworks. A moment he had when he was just riding the train and he was seeing the sunset, the beautiful sunset. A moment that he had when he was walking through the sand on the beach and the water hit his feet. That melody. Every time that part plays in the movie, I get so emotional. Because I feel it. That's what life is about. And when he finally got back to the afterlife, he once he did all of that and he was feeling the melody and he was starting to have his little moments as he was playing the melody. He went back to the afterlife. My bad. He went back to the after, right? And he tried to look for her. He ended up in a zone. He was in his zone. Now he was in between the spiritual world, between life and the spiritual world, right between. He was in his zone because he was playing his melody. And he ended up falling out of it. And it was this guy that he met that was in that's considered the hippie. He was a hippie, right? I love this too. Like, everything resonated. You gotta watch the movie. Every little thing resonated. So, he was talking to the dude. He was like, I'm trying to look for her. Like, he was like, he finally got it. He finally got it. So, as he's trying to look for her, they finally found her. And when they found her, she was running. She ran. They couldn't control her. So when he finally got to her, she sucked him in to his darkness. She sucked him into his darkness. And all she kept hearing was the voices that was in her head that was telling her everything that was negative, that kept her stagnant in that belief that she didn't have a purpose. And then a big version of him popped up and was like, the only reason why that you're enjoying life is because you were in my body. You have no purpose. And then once he pulled out that leaf, that little piece of leaf that she had in that moment when she was in his body that fell from the tree, that big version of him, that big dark version of him evaporated. And then it was just her standing there, just hunched over and just like, all she kept repeating to herself was, I have no purpose. I have no purpose. I have no purpose. That voice that you hear inside your head, that self-sabotaging voice that you hear inside your head that's keep telling you keep telling yourself that you're nothing, that you have no purpose, or whatever you may be going through at that moment, that keep tearing you down, that keep you depressed. That's what that was. That's how that resonated with me, right? So as he walked up to her, he was like, he showed it to her, and everything, that whole darkness just fell off. It fell. And they ended up back in the place they were, where it was the after, and all the other spirits and souls walked around them, and she was like, "You're right." She came back into her, you know, and the badge that she had, that spark that she was supposed to, that she was missing, created this badge that looked like the earth. And he gave it to her, and she was like, "But what if I'm not ready?" He said, "But you are ready. You're ready to go. You're right. You're ready to inhabit a body, right?" And he gave her the badge, and he said, "I'll hold your hand. We'll go together." And as they jumped into the hole, into the galaxy before you reach the earth, he came back and he was like, what was her spark? But what was her, he asked the spirit, I thought her spark was, music. That was, I think that was before then. He was like, I thought her spark was supposed to be like, I thought her spark was music. Like, I thought her spark was, he was like, the spirit was like, you're silly. Like, a spark is just, he was like, I thought her purpose was music. I thought that was why she got her badge. He was like, no, silly. A purpose is not a spark. A spark is not your purpose. Your purpose is your reason for living. You see? Your spark is just like, whatever makes you while you're here on this earth. Whatever is like I said, I want to be a lawyer. That'd be my spark. You understand what I'm saying? Or if you like playing basketball and you're a basketball player, you're a good basketball player, that'd be your spark. That's not your purpose. Your purpose is your reason for living, right? So when he resonated with that, that's when he kind of, got back into it. He understood. But he understood everything. And he understood himself. He finally realized himself. And when it was ready for him, when it was time for him to go to the afterlife, the spirit caught up with him and was like, yo, it's very few moments where we find people that inspire us, because we're always inspiring them. And you inspired us, so we want to give you another chance on life. And then the spirit asked him, what are you going to do when you get back? He said, I'm going to enjoy every moment of it. So... all I'm saying is, people, enjoy every little moment. Don't get so caught up in... of course you're going to experience life, and life is going to test you, and you're going to go through these things, and you're going to go through moments of worry, and you're going to go through moments of stress, and you're going to go through moments of anxiety and depression, and you're going to be happy and ecstatic, and go through those emotions. You're supposed to. Go through all of those emotions, but create a balance. Make sure you have a balance in the world, your world, enjoying life and living life. You understand what I'm saying? Live life, but live it for you. Live it for you. Do it your way and make it special. And the only way to do that is to get back into that childlike state of form, because they don't worry about anything. They're just living every experience for what it is. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said, but as an adult, you know better. You know better. As you get older, you know what's right and you know what's wrong. You know a way to do it and a way not to. Don't be always in your feelings and always in your mind and always in your perception that you completely forget everybody else's and disregard everybody else's. Because damn, that's selfish. But it's okay, because you're natural and you're human. But when you acknowledge it, fix it if you want to. There's a lot of people in this world that's not going to want to do it. Be different. I love y'all.